When you look at Sol Phenduka today, one of the funniest, realest, and most loved co-hosts in South Africa, you'd never think that there was a time when life had him completely down. But the truth is, before Podcast and Chill, Sol's life was in a very dark place. This is the story of how Podcast and Chill with MacG didn't just change Sol's career, it saved his life. Before all the fame and laughs, Sol Phenduka was already a familiar voice on South African radio. He worked at YFM, one of the biggest youth radio stations in the country, and he was good, like really good. His voice, his energy, and his raw honesty connected with people. But behind the mic, Sol was struggling. He later revealed that one of the reasons he left YFM was that he simply wasn't getting paid what he deserved. The radio game can be rough, you can be talented, famous, but still broke. And that's Sol's reality. After YFM, Sol managed to secure a spot at 5FM, another major station. Things seemed to be looking up again until they went. At 5FM, Sol's life started to spiral. Around that time, he got introduced to sports betting by a close friend. It started off harmless like it does for most people, a few small bets here and there, but then it got serious. Sol loaded 8,000 into his betting account, and that's when his friend realized something was wrong. Sol wasn't just betting for fun anymore, he was chasing a feeling, chasing luck, trying to win. Who puts 8,000 in Betway? Soon gambling became a full-blown addiction. He was losing money fast, taking on debts, and because he was a public figure, debt collectors knew where to find him. Like, oh, it's Sol, he works at that radio station. One day, a debt collector came to his job at 5FM. People at the station didn't know the full story, so rumors started flying. They said Sol looked like he was on drugs, that maybe the debt collector was actually a drug dealer. But the truth was, Sol wasn't on drugs, he was just drowning in debt. But he did admit that if you didn't know that was drowning in debt, you would think that he was on drugs. As the money problems grew, life got heavier. Sol stopped paying for his car insurance because he simply couldn't afford it. Then one day his car broke down, and without insurance, fixing it was a mission. He left the car at a friend's place, hoping that because his friend was a mechanic, it would get repaired soon. But without a car, even something as simple as getting to work became a struggle. He started relying on his girlfriend to take him to and from work, but that put pressure on their relationship too. Eventually they broke up, and not long after, she got married. Now, Sol had to depend on his friends for rides, but even they couldn't keep doing that forever. They had jobs, families, and responsibilities. So Sol did what he had to do. He started sleeping at the 5FM studio. Imagine that, a radio presenter who people hear every day on air, but after the show, he has nowhere to go. He's sleeping on the same studio couch he works in. That was Sol Phenduka's reality. Eventually, the pressure became too much. Debt collectors were showing up at work, rumors were spreading, and Sol knew he couldn't keep living like that. So one random Wednesday at 3 p.m. to be exact, Sol wrote an email to management. He didn't even tell DJ Fresh, his mentor and friend, that he was leaving. He just quit. Later, Sol admitted that it was one of the worst decisions of his life, but at the time, he was broken. He was running from everything. After that, DJ Fresh tried to help him get back into radio. He still believed in Sol, but when he pitched Sol's name to the SAPC, they refused. They said, no, we don't want him back. Not after the stories about him sleeping in the studio. In fact, it became such a problem that even DJ Fresh himself faced backlash, and eventually he too was let go from Metro because of how he was defending Sol. That was how bad things got. So where was the turning point? So after leaving 5, Sol's life slowed down completely. No radio gigs, no car, no stable income, just quiet. He tried to survive by starting a small printing business. He was literally printing t-shirts, flyers, anything to make a living. And then something unexpected happened. He got an invite from MacG to come on Podcast and Chill. Apparently MacG had heard from sources about the debt collecting thing, but at the time the sources also didn't know, so they were talking about drug dealing and stuff. And MacG at the time wanted the scoop, what was going on in Sol's life, right? So McGee's podcast was growing fast. It was raw, unfiltered, and honest. Everything traditional media wasn't. When Saul came on, he opened up. He told his story, the gambling, the depression, the debt, everything. And he said something that touched people's hearts. He said, McG gives me hope because he also had a failed radio career, and seeing him do well now gives me hope that I can make it too. He wasn't even thinking of being a co host, he just wanted to help. And when he was asked, would he ever do podcasting, his thoughts were on his own podcast. He said that he didn't want to compete with McG on podcasts such as Podcast and Chill, that if he ever started his own podcast, he would need to have a niche of what he wanted to do, right? He even offered to print Podcast and Chill merchandise from his little business, but McG saw something in Soul. He saw talent, he saw realness, and just like that, he offered him a permanent seat on the show. From that moment on, everything changed. Saul brought a new energy to Podcast and Chill. His humor, his boldness, his unfiltered takes. People loved him. The same guy who once slept in a radio studio was now one of the most recognizable voices in South African podcasting. He started earning again, getting endorsements, traveling, laughing, living. The same platform that was once just a guest appearance became the stage that rebuilt his life. Saul Phenduka's story is more than just entertainment. It's a story of resilience, redemption, and second chances. It shows that sometimes life can take everything from you. Your job, your car, your home, your reputation. But if you keep believing, even just a little, you can bounce back stronger. McG and Podcast and Chill didn't just give Saul a mic, they gave him hope. They gave him his life back, and today Saul stands as proof that no matter how low you fall, with faith, real friends, and a little bit of luck, you can rise again. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments, what do you think is Saul Phenduka's biggest strength? This has been the story of how Podcast and Chill saved Saul Phenduka's life. See you next time.